Hey y'all, today I'm talking about something I never thought I would be saying. So after 12 years of infertility, Matt and I found out a couple weeks ago that we're pregnant. And to say we were shocked is the understatement of the year. So there's a big story that goes behind this. I feel like we need to back up and start from the beginning of the 12 years of infertility before we get to the hey, we found out we were pregnant. But I'm going to put some timestamps below, so if you don't want to hear the journey, you just want to hear the ending, then absolutely you can skip to that. So to kind of back up, Matt and I were married in 2004. I was 24 years old, he was 23 years old. And just like all married couples, we started our careers around the same time. We were learning to be husband and wife. And then around 2008-ish, we decided that maybe we wanted kids. So we went off birth control and, we were like, whatever happens, happens. We weren't antsy for kids, but we're open to having kids. So we did that, went off birth control, and month after month passed, and we still weren't pregnant. And so we were busy with our careers. We were starting a business around that time. So we were focused on that and just letting things happen or not happen. And around 2010, it had been a couple of years. I had just turned 30, and we thought, well, let's just go to the doctor or fertility doctor and see what's going on. So went through that testing. Basically, they're like, you're just not ovulating correctly. And so their suggestion was the first thing I would try would be Clomid. And so Matt and I talked about it, and it's just, we didn't feel like God was leading us to take that path at the time. We know a lot of people have gone through fertility treatments, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. We just didn't feel led to do that. And like I said, we were building our business around that time, so we just really poured ourselves into that. And so that was in 2010. And we just, over the years, we would talk about, should we do fertility treatments, maybe adoption, just trying to figure out, what path we would take to become parents, or would we just choose not to take any path? And ultimately, that's the choice we made. We just didn't feel like God was leading us any direction, and so we were trying not to push that. And so we just let it go, and we're like, if God wants us to have children, we'll have children, and if we're not supposed to, then He has other plans for us in our life. And so, we just continued on. We built our business. We worked on ourselves, becoming better people. We just focused on the people we cared about and just continued life, and we built a really amazing life. We became better spouses. We learned to communicate more over the years. We built an amazing business that we love and adore, and probably if we would have had children those first couple of years, it would have changed that path a little bit. So that's just the path we chose. Now, it's not, though a lot of amazing things happened over those 12 years, it's not a linear path. It's not always perfect. There's a lot of just really hard times. I'm fine. As friends began to get pregnant, it was hard. It was hard to watch other people go through that. And there's a lot of times of, just crawling in a little bubble and just crying, and then I would pull myself out, because then I would feel bad, because I also wanted to be really happy for the people I cared about in their journey to parenthood. So it was definitely an up and down of emotions through that time. And sometimes I would be perfectly fine with it, and sometimes I wouldn't. And sometimes I felt really alone, because I know there's other people, but I was like, no one's on my journey. I know other people have struggled with fertility, but nobody's on my journey. And then there's all those constantly when are y'all having kids? Are y'all having kids? Do you want kids? And for a while we just be like, we don't know, because we didn't want to just talk about it. And then we just started going, okay, we can't have kids. And we thought that would make people stop asking, and then it doesn't, because then they want to help you know how to have kids. Oh, there's fertility treatments. You can also adopt. We don't know the options. And so it was just, it was a little bit of a struggle because, of course we would have loved to have been parents, but we just felt like that wasn't our calling for whatever reason. And then in December of last year, I turned 40, and Matt and I both, we'd gotten to a really good spot where we genuinely were 100% okay not having the title of mom and dad. We had a lot of other great titles. We are business owners, and we're a husband and wife, and we have a great marriage, and we're an aunt and uncle, and we're still a son and daughter. And we're okay with all of that. We were really excited about where our path in life was going. We still do. We have great goals that we want to achieve. And turning 40, I'm pretty sure at this point I'm past childbearing years. If I didn't get pregnant in my 20s, then I'm probably not getting pregnant in my 40s. Like, that has its own set of struggles when people are trying to get pregnant in their 40s. And so we were okay. We were really, and we are really happy with our life. Like, there's nothing we wanted to change. So that brings us to the current times. Okay, let me think timeline-wise. So on Friday, 13th, which is just funny now that I say that out loud, things in the current climate and all the craziness that is going on in the world really started changing for us locally. Our local school system decided to shut down schools for, at that time, 3 weeks. And at that time, I'm like, things are like, this is not great. And around that same time, the biggest city close to us said there's no gatherings of more than 10 people. And for us in the business that we have, that was a problem. And so that weekend, I started freaking out a little bit because I do better if I know what to expect. But now we were in a time of I have no idea what to expect for our business and our livelihood, and that's concerning to me. And so that weekend, we had 4 jobs we had coming up postponed. And so I was pretty stressed about that. But once I handled all that, they've been postponed, I know what to expect, I was better. On Tuesday morning, I think Matt and I were just feeling a lot of just the weight of everything that was going on and the weight of the uncertainty. And we went and ran some errands that morning. We let Matt's parents know. We had texted them and just said, hey, things are a little uncertain right now for our company. We would just appreciate some prayers. And at that point, I was 5 days late for my period. And usually I'm like clockwork. Every now and then I'm a little late. I thought, this stress is probably throwing my cycle off. I'm sure that's what it is. And then Matt and I kind of joked, because throughout the years we would joke oh, it'd be funny if we got pregnant now. Oh, this would be funny. And we're like, of course we would get pregnant during this time in our world's history. This is probably the craziest time in our entire lives we could be pregnant. So we joked about it, but neither of us thought anything about it. And then my Apple Watch will remind me you are going to start your period in 3 days. And it was hey, have you started your period? Did you forget to log it? And I'm like, okay, okay, watch. I know I haven't started my period. Thank you for that. And Matt's you should just take a test. I'm I'm fine. We're fine. And then I had to go to the bathroom, and I had a couple of pregnancy tests under the counter just from a time while I was late before, but I wasn't pregnant. And so I was going to the bathroom. I was oh, I'll just take the test. That way I can just tell Matt, we're not pregnant. So that's one thing right now we don't have to worry about. And so I have the Clear Blue Easy test, and I'm looking at it, and I'm there is a slight up and down line that would say it was positive, but it's not that dark. So is it positive? So I grabbed my phone, and I'm Googling positive Clear Blue Easy test. And I'm some of these are super dark, so that's definitely not what mine looks like. Some of them are kind of light though. It kind of looks like mine, but I don't know. So I'm hey Matt, will you come look at this test and tell me what it says? He's what? I was come here and look at this test and tell me what it says. I can't read it. And he's what are you talking about? So I take it in there, and I'm does this say I'm pregnant? And he's I mean, I think that says we're pregnant. And I'm like, no. So we sit there, Google image test, Google image test, Google. And so finally it's like, okay, I think we need to go get a different test and try it. So I'm like looking up, what are the best home pregnancy tests? So we go get first response. We get back home. And Matt's like, take it now. I'm like, I don't know if I have to pee. He's like, you have to pee. Take it now. So I go in there, I take it, and like immediately it's like 2 pink lines, which is you're pregnant. And I'm like, I think we're pregnant. And so it took us a second. We freaked out a little bit. Here are, at this point, we have 4 tests in the order. So the very bottom one, and then it just progressively gets like more and more of a positive test. I took 4 because it's all I had. I mean, I promise if I had 20, I probably would have taken all 20 by now. So we freak out a little bit. And so Matt immediately wants everyone to know, like, at that second. He's so excited. He's like, text the family. I'm like, we're not texting the family that we're pregnant. Like, we're gonna tell them in person. And so we're like, well, how are we going to tell them in person? And I did. So to appease Matt, all of our parents are in the same town except for my dad. So I did text him. He just didn't get it for a few minutes after that. So technically, he's the first person we told. And so we're like, okay, well, we need to tell the whole family. And so I knew Matt's mom was over at his brother and my sister-in-law's house, who's down the road. And my mom had just gotten home from work. She also lives down the road. And so the only one was Matt's dad, and he was at his house, which is a little bit further away. So to back up a little bit, I mentioned that we had texted Matt's parents earlier in that day before we knew we were pregnant and just said, hey, pray for us. Well, Matt's mom's like, do we need a family meeting? I'm like, no, we don't need a family meeting. We're fine. We just would like some prayers. So that popped in our head, and we're like, oh, yeah, this is how we're going to tell them. So I texted Matt's mom, and I'm like, hey, I think we do need a family meeting. She just set it up so perfectly earlier in the day before we even knew we were pregnant. And so I let her know. I texted my mom. I'm like, hey, or I called her. I was like, hey, let's meet at Jake and Kristen's. We need to have a family meeting tonight. And then Matt's dad, we just FaceTimed him in because he was sick. So he was like, I don't want to be around everyone. I'm sick. So we let everyone kind of get to Matt's brother's house, and we walked there. So we gave them time to gather and to like speculate on how bad our business is doing, if we're about to sell our house and move, whatever they were speculating. And so we let them just kind of chit chat, and we were walking over there. And as we're walking, we go to pass like our neighbors. And as we're getting closer, I look at Matt and I'm like, do not tell them. And Matt's like, mm-hmm. I'm like, do not tell them we're pregnant. He's like, mm-hmm. As soon as we got to the Matt's like, we're pregnant. He was so excited. Like, he wanted to tell everyone. Like, thank goodness we didn't encounter anyone else, because I'm sure like the whole town would know before we like made it to our destination. And so we got there and gathered everyone together. And then I started talking, and I'm like, you guys know this has been a really weird week. It's been a very uncertain week for us and our business. And today we found something else out that's just really weird. And then Matt just laid the pregnancy test on the table. And my sister-in-law was the first one. She's like, oh, like I hear her, like she immediately knew what it was. And then like everyone kind of caught on for a second. And we'll play the video clip here. This is probably, in Matt's mom's words, the worst video we've ever filmed, because typically it's higher quality, but it was really about the moment and just capturing it. And so this is the video and kind of our family finding out. So,
what?
Y'all know that it's been kind of a weird week.
Weird 2 weeks.
There's been a lot of unknowns, and today we found out something else.
We just wanted to wait a while to make sure.
Say what, honey? Oh, sorry. You should have come over. Oh my God. I had no idea.
We told either. That's what I was like. I mean, we can't without Poppy there, but this is good. Oh, so that was us telling everyone. It's I don't know. I think we're still in a little bit of shock. We were in shock that entire day. You know, after we told them, they told extended family, their siblings, our aunts and uncles, cousins and stuff. And the thing that we found out was, though Matt and I have prayed about that over the years, we'd gotten to a place where it wasn't really a part of our prayer. We kind of moved on. But I think the thing that just really touches our hearts is we found out other people were still praying for us. And I don't know, that means a lot when you find out people are praying on your behalf. And so that was just very unexpected. It's not something that we realized were on other people's hearts, even though it wasn't on our heart at the time. So, you know, one thing about this video is I know how hard it was for us during the years struggling with infertility and hearing other people get pregnant. And the thing is, I hope anyone who's watching this who's struggling, that this maybe gives you some hope versus makes you sad. Because that's the thing we've learned through this journey, is that God's timing is impeccable and it is not our timing. What I have, like, for the story of my life, chosen that, like, when we have our first child is going to be when I turn 40. No, I never would have guessed, like, let's start a family at 40. But God had other things that we needed to accomplish and focus on in life prior to today. And also, not just us, but this child, He has a plan for it. And that plan starts now, not when we wanted it to start 12 years ago. So I know it's a struggle, and I know parenthood is not everyone's path, but I hope that this encourages people, and I hope it just gives people faith and hope and realize that God still performs miracles. I know I try sometimes to control things a lot, but I'm glad this is something I didn't try to control, because this just feels way bigger than anything I could have ever planned for us. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that we feel very lucky that God has given us this gift and given our family this gift. And we feel very lucky to have this spark of hope during this time of just uncertainty and craziness. I did make the joke that I felt like, because the week we found out we were pregnant, just all the craziness started happening. I was like, sometimes I feel like the world around me is like just falling apart. And I'm just like standing there like, it's great. Like, I'm just like the happiest person, is like, I know there's just like chaos around me. And so it's brought us a lot of peace and joy, and we're really excited about this journey. I am 7 weeks today to my best estimate based on just math. We go to the doctor in 2 weeks, which is driving me crazy because that seems so far along and I wish it was sooner. But over the past few months, I've been learning patience in a lot of areas of my life. So hopefully that's helping now to be a little more patient through this. But we're really excited and over the moon, and we can't wait to go through this journey together, and we can't wait to meet our child and just be parents. And that's still insane to think about, that we're going to have the title and role of mom and dad. It's also really scary to think now we're in charge of a human. I hope that gets a little less scary, but I don't know that it does ever. But we hope that you can join this journey with us, and just kind of go along with it. If you're watching this video now, that means it's delayed, because we're going to delay posting these until after the first trimester. So I'm further along now, and so there'll be some more update videos of those. But please join us on this journey. Please, if you've had an infertility journey, please share that with us. I think it's good to talk about those things. It's something I probably didn't do enough over the past 12 years because I was a little scared and I felt that people wouldn't understand or want to hear that. But I do think it is important. So find someone you can talk to because it's going to help you process it a little bit better. So thank you for listening to me ramble about our crazy story of 12 years of infertility, and now I'm pregnant at 40. Thanks for watching. Bye.